Etc., a show that covers all aspects of life, relationship, and success. And I'm your host, Anna Elton, licensed marriage and family therapist and sexology expert. And today we're going to talk about sexy back life after kids. Let's welcome our amazing guest, Amber Uhler, Mrs. Universe USA. Welcome, Amber.
Hello. Hi, Anna. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be joining you today.
I'm excited to have you here, and I'm looking forward to hear about your amazing story. So before we talk about your pageantry journey and everything that is involved, let's get to know you a little bit. Can you tell us about who you are, your relationships, and etc.? That's what we talk here about.
All right. That's a big ask. Let's see. Where do I start? I think I can start with I am probably the least likely person to have ever done a beauty pageant. So we'll start there. And what I say by that is back in 2021, I weighed almost 300 pounds. I think the highest I ever actually got on the scale was 287. But I know I weighed more than that, and I was just embarrassed to get on it. So I have spent the last 3.5, almost 4 years on a 160-pound weight loss journey. You're seeing me now as sort of like the finished product, but I promise you it was not like that. It literally took almost all 4 years of diet, exercise, motivational talks, reading books, eating healthy to lose the weight. And when I decided to embark on this weight loss journey, I also got this wild idea that I wanted to do a beauty pageant. So that's what I said. I wrote down a list of goals in 2021, and I actually have it right here in front of me. And the first thing I wrote down was lose weight, 20 to 30 pounds with a question mark on it. And then I wrote, get Invisalign, get a facial, do a beauty pageant. So this is a list from 2021. And I can tell you, when I made this list in 2021, I did not think it was going to take 4 years to complete it. But I have. So that's been me on this sort of personal journey of reinvention and resilience, and just reinventing myself into a person that I recognize again. Because after I had children, I did very much lose myself. I had my first child in 2016, the next one in 2017, and then the third one in 2019. So it was like boom, 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 back to back. And then COVID hit. And I don't know if you remember, but you were at home with your kids and you had nowhere to go, and you couldn't do anything. And people weren't even going to the playground, just like the world was shut down. And, the 3 kids back to back, and then not being able to go to the gym, being isolated at home, like I really ate my feelings. And I guess I was having a lot of feelings. And so I gained a lot of weight. And during this time, my husband was so supportive. And it's been really fun and interesting to just reflect on our journey together. And as you find out more, we definitely really sort of like flip-flop roles. I met him in, I think, 2012. He's a news anchor, and he was on the news. I was watching the TV show The Bachelor, and he came on and was like, the household products that are killing your children tonight at 11. And I was like, I don't have kids, but I'm going to watch and see what he is up to. Who is that? And I remember I told my friends, like, oh, he's so cute. And I go, oh, he's probably married. And I was like, I pulled out my phone and I was like, he's single. So I requested him on Facebook, and we started messaging, and the rest is history. We got married. Okay, we met in 2010. We ended up married in 2012. And then we had our first child in 2016. And for our relationship, he's always been the superstar, the megastar. He has 7 Emmy Awards. I put one up here behind me tonight because I'm so proud of him. And it's funny because he's so humble. When we started dating, he had some of the Emmy Awards in a box underneath the stairs at his house. And I was like, why don't you put those out? Those are such a huge, major accomplishment. And he's like, like a very humble guy. And so like sometimes I put them out and put them around the house, just fun for him to find. And so when people would need us, right, I've always been a little heavier. And when people would need us, they would always, gravitate to him. They knew him, they recognized him, they wanted to meet him, and they'd be like, oh, here's our camera. Like, we take a picture of us, and he'd be like, oh, this is my wife. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. And so it's been really fun and exciting for him to sort of have this role reversal now where people are excited to meet me and hear my story and take a picture with me, which is still crazy and like unbelievable for me. And he's so supportive and just really happy for me as I've embarked on this new chapter of my life. And so, like I said, we have 3 kids. Now they're 5, 7, and 8. And that's a little bit where our life is right now. It's full of homework assignments and flag football and, his work and career and my work and career. And then now this crazy thing called pageantry. And that's where we're at.
That's awesome. I love that. I have so many things I want to ask you, but I'm just trying to think, where should we start? I think it's so interesting. You just shared a really, I guess, unique way to meet your future husband. And as Valentine's Day is coming, maybe you can give our viewers some tips how to meet this, I guess, Mr. Perfect, right?
So I like to joke that I found my whole family on Facebook because I also found our rescue dog on Facebook. Like, I saw a little picture of this dog that was like a little puppy that looked like it was smiling, and I was like, oh, that's my dog. Like, I just knew it. And I feel like we get intuition as women, and like, you see someone and you're like, oh, there he is. I feel like I've spoken to so many more women who are like, I saw him and I knew he was going to be my husband, than men who've said that. So I feel like we kind of know what we want and what we're looking for, and don't be afraid to go after it. So, like, first of all, do your research and make sure they're single, like I did. Check mark number 1. And then number 2, just find out. I think women in general are like taught a lot of things. And when I hear people saying these kind of things to my kids, like, I correct them and they're probably like, oh, why did we engage this weird lady whatsoever? But like, people will go, oh, you're so cute, to my daughters. And I go, oh, you know what though? They're also really clever, and that's even more important. And they're always like, oh, like, and I know that people are just trying to be nice, but women are so conditioned to not ask for what they want. Like, oh, don't ask, wait to be offered. That's like advice that I think a lot of women get. Or, oh, don't tout your accomplishments. Don't be braggadocious. Like, you sound like you're bragging. And I don't really hear men being told, don't go after what you want. Don't ask for that raise. Don't, tout your accomplishments. Don't do. And so I feel like I used to be that way, and I just sort of had a light switch flip within me and was like, you know what? Prince Charming is never going to come to my house and get me out of my bed. I'm going to have to go out there and find him myself and help him out. So that's what I did. And it worked for me. I'm like a fan of online dating. I think it widens your pool and your range, and search for people that you could find for potential partners other than outside your zip code.
That's awesome. So your idea is being proactive, right? You want to make sure that you just don't manifest, right? You actually need to do something about it, right? Like your girls don't wish upon a star. You need to have a plan and go after it. How about your husband? Did he knew right away that you're his wife, or you had to do some work there?
Oh no, he didn't like me at all. We went on a couple dates and he was like not feeling me. I could tell he did not like me. And I was just super honest, and I was like, why don't you like me? And he was just like, oh my gosh, you're so much. That's why. And I was like, oh, well, find less then. And really, I did sort of act like, well, I don't care then. And flittered away. Like, I guess you're not going to be the one. And then all of a sudden it was on, and there was no one he wanted more than me. So I think being also okay with walking away if somebody's not for you, right? I tried it, didn't work. Like, he thought I was a little extra. And now, on the very rare occasions when we do have disagreements, I love to say, you know who you married. You know what you were getting yourself into. We did this little cute, it was a TV show called Love in America, and they asked us if we were TV characters, who would you be? Like TV character couples. And I was like, oh, hold the phones. I already know. And it was I Love Lucy, Lucille Ball, and Desi Arnaz, because he's like like, oh no, do we have to do this stuff? Like, oh please. And I'm always like, oh, what? Can I come to your work? Can I be on TV? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, please. And like, please, 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 I want to, I want to. And he's just like, oh no. And it's like, it just sums us up perfectly. And it really works for us. And sometimes I do feel bad for him because I am a lot. But but like I said, if you want less, that's what you should look for.
It's so interesting. So at which point did he realize that you're not extra, you're just enough, you're perfect?
When I was like, okay, bye. Literally the next day. And I was like, no, I'm going on a date with someone else. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. And that's one thing that I told all my friends. So I figured this all out when I was like 24 or 25. And it's funny because I see memes about it now. I was just on Instagram yesterday and I saw a meme and it was like, if I'm still single when I'm 25, I'm going on The Bachelor. And then like the response was, girl, he's texting 7 other girls right now. You already are on The Bachelor. And I realized that all my friends would meet a guy that they really, really liked. Like, oh my gosh, I like him, right? Like I'm kind of like contradicting my advice, but they'd meet a guy that they really, really liked. And then they would let like all these other guys who were liking them and pursuing them like fall by the wayside, ghost them. And then, you know, they'd have all their eggs in this one basket. And when it didn't work out with that guy, then all the other guys were gone. And I was like, you know, guys really do. I feel like I was so ahead of my time. I said, guys really do date like they're on The Bachelor. They date several girls and then they like kind of fall off. And then finally there's like the one who makes it to the mountaintop and ends up married to that guy. But girls don't do that. They put all their eggs in one basket. They only date that one guy. If he doesn't work out, they have to start all over again. And so when initially our first few dates didn't work out, I was like, I'm gonna date like a guy and I'm just gonna like meet lots of guys and go on lots of first dates and see who I like and like keep them all hanging on and not make decisions quickly. And woo, did that work. I never had so many guys so in love with me at once because I was super honest. I was like, just so you know, I'm dating some other people too. And oh, that if you ever wanted something to work, that worked. I felt like I was on The Bachelorette and all the guys were crazy for me. And so that was a very good fun time in my life.
Interesting. So the competition.
I mean, I think guys let girls know there's competition, but girls don't want to let guys know there's competition. And why not? Like, you're a prize to be won. Like, let's show it off.
So how did your husband respond to the idea of he's not the only one there? Do you feel like he started fighting for you more or like?
Oh, he got incredibly motivated. They all got incredibly motivated. And like this was when, you know, we had social media now, right? Like I'm a little older. I grew up when there wasn't social media. I know you can't even understand that, but it was crazy. But social media was fun because I'd be like, oh, look, I'm out on a date. Oh, look, I'm here. Like, so I was like, let me telecast it and see how it went. And it went really good. It went really, really good. And I had lots of options. And I felt like the more I did that, the more people were like interested. Like it had like a compounding effect.
That's awesome. So at which point in the relationship he decided to propose? So what are some of the secrets to actually not just meet the guy, but keep the guy and actually have your happily ever after?
Okay, well, we went on a trip to Italy. Mm-hmm. And we were in front of this beautiful like little church cottage. It looks like something out of Beauty and the Beast. And he was like, stand right here. I want to take a photo. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is my big moment. I can't wait. And he took the picture and then he got down on one knee and he tied his shoe. And I just started crying. I was like, oh no, like I thought you were going to propose. And he was like, you did. Yes, I did. So that's another thing I did. I didn't wait around for him. I was like, we're going on 2 years. I see forever here. But if you don't, I don't want to give you all this youth for free. And so that was probably in like June or July. And he proposed on Christmas Day, which I did not see coming. He tricked me very well, very tricky. He told me we were going to special reservations at this exclusive restaurant that only opened on Christmas to like a few people. And I had to get all ready. And so I did. And we were walking out and then it ended up being a big proposal. And I was shocked and stunned and stupefied. but I do think that I influenced the trajectory of the proposal by being upfront and letting him know that I was ready and I wasn't going to wait around for 6 or 10 years for when he decided he was ready for it. I felt like it should be a mutual decision. Like, I'm ready now. Are you going to be ready in the next 6 to 12 months? Because like, if you're telling me it's going to take you 10 years, I'm going to move on. And so, yeah, I got very like, thinking back on it now, I was like very, very like aggressive in my decision making of like what I wanted my life to look like. And you'll find out I've gone through periods in my life where I'm just like, oh, I'm on the current and whatever happens, happens. And I guess I'm just on the stream of life and it'll take me where it takes me. And then there's other times in my life when I get like really drilled down and passionate and goal oriented and grit and determination. And I'm like, I'm going to steer the ship where I want it to go. And as you will see, the way the outcome of my life at those times varied was really, really dynamically different. And so I realized you can really live your life like on the current of life and just let it take you where it goes. Or you can decide to man the ship and get at the helm and steer it to where you want to go. And I think doing the second is a little harder. It requires a little more determination and resilience and grit and being able to take no and not, getting exactly what you want. But I think you end up in a better place. And I think one thing that I've realized is that we get in our mind like whatever it is we want. We want that car. We want a raise. We want that pageant title. And if the journey does not look like this to straight meteoric rise, then we're disappointed in ourselves. But that's just not the actuality of life. And something interesting about me, in my opinion, is I love sports so much, but not the way you think. I don't love watching baseball or golf or anything like that. I love sports mentality and sports documentaries. And I love hearing about how somebody has this. Okay, my favorite. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, Anna. Who do you think is the greatest basketball player of all time?
Basketball. I don't know. I don't really follow sports.
Okay, that's fine.
I know the football player, right? We have the GOAT, right? We have the Tom Brady. I came from Boston.
Okay.
So I can answer that. Basketball, I don't know. There's a few.
Okay, that's right. So that's what I love about the sports psychology. So with basketball, there's a few that people argue. They say, of course, Michael Jordan, of course, Kobe Bryant, of course, LeBron James, right? There's even some other older players from back in the day that enter the conversation, and people can get into these huge debates over this super subjective decision. You might as well ask people who the best pageant queen of all time is. It's completely up to you. But what I love is that when people have these conversations about who the greatest of all time is, right? You hear Kobe Bryant and you hear LeBron James. What you don't hear is who has the most missed shots in NBA history. It was Kobe Bryant until last week. LeBron James just took him over. So you talk about these people who are so great, who have this incredible talent and work ethic. What nobody talks about is they also missed more than anybody else ever in the history of the NBA. The two people who are always in the conversation of who's the best. And so that's the kind of thing I love. I love that Lionel Messi, who, is sort of the GOAT of soccer, was told he would never be a soccer player because he was way too small and little. And he took that and turned that into his superpower. He's fast and he's compact and you just can't stop him. And I love it when people just fly in the face of all the negativity that people tell them and find themselves. And what I love about sports, the absolute most, is that when you think of the greatest golfer, when you think of the greatest basketball player, when you think of Lionel Messi, when you think of all these people, you see how great they are on the field, but they didn't get that way by accident. They got that way because of their work ethic, their determination. Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant are world renowned for the amount of practice, work ethic, and dedication they put in. And they were completely in control of that. And that's how I feel about pageantry and life. Like I won a couple of pageants, and I know very much deep down inside, I was not the most beautiful one. But what nobody knew is that I cannot be outworked. When everyone else was off doing this, I lost 160 pounds. When they were going out and having friends with their dinner, I was on a diet. I got a intonation coach, a media coach, a walking coach. I watched so much pageantry tape before I ever even stepped foot on the stage for my first pageant that I looked like a veteran, even though it was my first time, and I won. I did Mrs. Florida, first time ever, zero experience, and I won because I had that Tom Brady-like determination. When I tell you I watched hours and hours and hours of tape, hundreds of hours of tape, I still go to pageants all the time. I went to one this weekend. I'm going to one next weekend. I watched a pageant on TV this week. Like, I put in the work. Like, I never just showed up and got lucky. I worked really, really, really hard. And
So,
go ahead.
what we can take away from this is luck is just preparation meets opportunity, right? We're not lucky. We have to work really, really hard to have the opportunity to shine.
Right. So, right. And so I can also be honest, and I think people don't talk about this a lot, but I like to say this. In pageantry, there is also a ton of luck. The cards can fall in your favor or not. When I did Mrs. So I guess we'll spoil it. I did Mrs. Florida America, and I won. I became Mrs. Florida America, and then I went to Mrs. America, and this was my second ever pageant. Went to a national pageant, and I was a semifinalist. And then I decided I wasn't done. I was like, I'm here. I've got the wardrobe. I've got the headshots. I'm ready to go. Let's do another pageant. And I was given the opportunity to be Mrs. Florida Universe. And so I went to Mrs. Universe USA, and my third pageant ever. And I learned so much more when I lost than when I won, right? When I won, I don't know why I won. Like, I worked really hard. I think I did good on interview. I did the best walk I could do. But I went and I saw the dedication of the girls at Mrs. America who made top 6, right? You didn't see them at the buffet. They were working on their walk. They had impeccably tailored clothes. They were ready to go. The eventual winner was a pageant coach herself. Like, and I learned so much. They were so wonderful and delightful. And they shared so many tips and tricks with me that I was like, I'm going to get right back on the horse and I'm going to give it one more shot. And I went to Mrs. Universe USA, right? I switched systems. And that's another thing. I think it's really important. I'm going to backtrack for a second. If you're going to ever do pageantry, research the systems and find the system that's best for you. I didn't really do that. Like, I had heard of this one, and that's the one I went to. And then when I did a little research after I became like super enthralled with it, I found like, oh, Mrs. Universe doesn't do a swimsuit round. Well, I lost 160 pounds. Everything did not go back the way it initially had before I had kids and lost 160 pounds. So that's a better system for me because swimsuit is not my strong suit. So you can look at systems and you can find systems that don't have swimsuit, or maybe they have fitness wear instead of swimsuit, or maybe they don't have it at all. Maybe the interview is what you're really good at, and that's your secret superpower. We'll find a pageant that's important to them. An onstage question and public speaking is important to them if that's your strong suit. Or maybe when we're modeling, like Miss USA is like a very modeling, beautiful competition. If that's your strong suit, then that's where you should go. And so putting in a little work in advance to even finding the right system you should go to. But back to the luck. When I went to Mrs. Universe USA, woo! Okay, we got to the final 5, and you pull out your question. The girl before me got what is a law you would change to help empower women? And I said, oh, thank goodness I did not get that question. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If I had, I probably would not have this sash and crown now. And I can admit that there was some luck. There was some luck. I got the question. So right now, I would pull the question out, whatever. I got the question. What is something you have done to prepare for this pageant? I could be up here for 2 hours telling you all that I've done to prepare for this pageant. I lost 160 pounds. I did 105 trays of Invisalign. I got a vocal coach. I got a walking coach, a speech and intonation coach. I, did this, that. I could have went on forever, but I only did 30 seconds, nice little bow on it. And I got lucky for a question that was perfect for me. And I can honestly admit and be comfortable with that with myself, that it was just my year. It couldn't have went better for me. And I think a lot of times people get down on themselves if they don't win. And it's but there is an element of luck to it all, especially if the last 5 questions are different. And so I'm very much at peace with that. I'm very comfortable with that. I know that in all the 3 pageants I've been in, I was not the most beautiful contestant. I know that I wasn't, but I worked really hard to try and be the most well-rounded one. And I think that's what helped me rise to the top 2 of the 3 times. And I think we're a lot more in control of our destiny than we think we are. If you can't be outworked, you're going to win. And that's something that you can control.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing from you, you really need to focus on what you're able to control, right? And what you're able to control is how you prepare for this pageant, right? And the rest is out of your control.
Right. And we all know, okay, think back to when you were in high school. You know that there was a time that you worked really, really hard on a project and you gave it your all and you did that research and you made that PowerPoint or whatever, and you got a B, and it broke your little heart and it hurt. And then that there was times when you just jotted down some stuff and turned it in and didn't even care, and you surprisingly got an A. And so I think sometimes in life, it's almost like a defense mechanism for our ego. If I don't put in 110%, if I phone it in and don't work on my onstage question with my coach and I cancel a couple times, well, then if I lose, I can tell myself, well, I didn't really try. And that wasn't an option for me. I was doing this, I was spending money on this, I was putting my time and energy in it, and I was going to give 100%. So whether I won or lost, I was checking my ego at the door and putting my all into this, irregardless whether, I'll be honest, I really didn't think I was going to win Mrs. Florida. And I didn't think I was going to win Mrs. America or Mrs. USA. I have been working on, my positive self-talk, because as somebody who was heavier and who lived in the shadow of their spouse, it's been hard for me to feel like I could claim this life as my own. But I didn't let that stop me from taking every step I could to be the best me, to have the best chance. Even though there were times when it was scary. And I wanted to, the day of the Mrs. Florida pageant, I saw the other girls. I think the weekend of, you see everybody. And then the day of, everybody was in hair and makeup, and hair and makeup is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter what anybody really looks like in real life. This is me every day, but when I have a hair and makeup team, it's a whole new ballgame. But same with everybody else. You kind of all even out again. And I was oh, I can't do this. I cannot go on stage in a swimsuit. I'm so embarrassed. I'm going to fail. And I told my husband, I want to quit. I don't want to do this. Please just take me home. And he's you worked so hard on this, and we spent so much money on this. You are doing it. Get up there. And that was that was what I needed. Sometimes you need someone to kick you in the pants to get you to go up there. And can you imagine if I had quit? I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. But there were times that self-doubt creeped in for me. And I just turn that off, and I think I use that as fuel now. So whenever I feel like I can't do it, there's no way I'm going to win Mrs. Universe in the Philippines in October, like, who do I think I am? I'm like, you know what? If I'm have time to think that, then I have time to work on my national costume more. I have time to work on my interview more. I have time to work on my onstage question. I better start working on my walk. Like, what can I do to be the best me possible, instead of spending all this time thinking of why I don't deserve this? What can I do so that I can earn it? And so just that mindset shift of, especially being heavy, living in the shadows. And like, right, my husband's super honest. Like, it's true. That's how it was. Nobody cared that I existed. And it has been a big shift for me. My husband has enjoyed seeing it. It's fun for him now. But keeping the positivity has been something that I struggle with and I'm still working on.
That's awesome. So let me give you a little tool, a little piece of advice. So whenever you start feeling down, pause and say, who is awesome? I'm awesome. Who is awesome? I'm awesome. Helps a lot.
I love that. So, okay, back to my sports psychology. Michael Phelps, every time he walks through a doorway, tells himself something positive about himself. And I have been trying to do that as well. And you do not realize how many doorways you walk through until you try to do this exercise. But he said the reason that he did that was because his goals were so lofty. And when he would hear the broadcasters talking negatively about him and stuff, he had built up such a high cachet and reserve of positive self-talk that like the negativity couldn't match all the great things he had told himself. And so I try to, I forget sometimes, but I try when I walk through the doorway, like, you know, to say like, oh, you know, like, I'm working as hard as I can today, and like, I'm making strides, and I really helped that organization, and I raised money for this. And as women, I also think that we just are really hardwired to downplay our accomplishments. So trying to just like, not in an annoying way, like I don't say it out loud to everybody, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, I did a great job today, and I did awesome at work on this, and I helped raise $10,000 for that charity, and just owning my accomplishments and letting me be proud of me. It is really helpful, because it is hard when you go to a pageant and there's favorites, and there's, when you kind of get to a certain level of pageantry, the bloggers come out with their top 15 prediction and their top 6 prediction and their final choice. And like, what if you're not in that top 6, and that like breaks your little heart, like, right? And so having built up, like Michael Phelps, such like a positive self-image helps in those sort of darker moments when it makes you question, like, oh, you know, like, oh, they don't like me. Like, and it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there, is something that I've learned. Like, I did not realize the microscope that would come with pageantry. Like, right, I didn't think I would win. I'm just going to do this for fun. And then you win, and then you go to the next, then you place, and then you go to the next different system and you win. And it's been sort of like a crash, just been like a crash course. Nobody could have prepared me for any of this.
That's amazing. So you started just last year, right? 2024, that's when you started with pageantry. 2025, you're going to Mrs. Universe, right?
Yeah, so I'm representing I'm Mrs. USA. I'm representing the USA at Mrs. Universe in the Philippines in October. If anybody has any good ideas for a national USA costume, let me know. I have like ideas, but nothing is like popping out as being like particularly witty or interesting or beautiful. Like, right, we want to be something good, right? So we're representing the USA. So slide into my DMs if you have any good national costume ideas, because I am having writer's block, just like totally blanking on what a perfect representation of the USA would be. And right, it's like a little bit of pressure. Like, I'm representing the whole nation, and I want to do a great, incredible job and make everybody proud to be an American and of the USA, and to be a US citizen. And that is no small feat. I am finding out.
So I hopefully will hear some advices, some comments, right, and some ideas for your national costume. At this point, do you have any ideas what you want to do, or like it's nothing? The block, like what you were thinking?
I have like weird ideas. I'm like, I want to be the American dream, but then like, how do you? What does that? Am I going to dress up like a big cloud? That's not cute. Like that's bad idea. See, these are like bad ideas I have, and then I'm like, how can I like maybe represent like the cultural melting pot that is like America? And I was like, what if I like have a pot? And my husband's like, you're gonna know. And I'm like, you're right. I'm gonna look like a witch out there. Like this is not gonna. These are bad ideas. My ideas are bad, but I can be honest with myself that my ideas are not good. And I know there are more creative people out there who can maybe potentially come up with something good, fun, unique, interesting, while maintaining elegance, but an element of surprise and drama, right? I have like a tall order.
I love that. So
If
maybe
anyone has any ideas.
transformational costume, right? So you come in as one, and then you do the magic on stage.
Okay, I thought that was a good idea too. And I was just watching the Mrs. World pageant, and Mrs. Canada came out as like a maple leaf tree, and it was super cute. And she was talking about maple syrup, and then she turned around, and the tree sort of like melted away, and she became like a white snow angel with wings that popped up. And I was like, okay, unexpected, cute, fun, whimsical, like 10 out of 10. I was like, I gotta write her and be like, who made your costume? Because that was, see, that's part of me and my watching tape. And that definitely stood out as something fun and unique and interesting. And she was the only one who transformed. Everybody else like came out as whatever they were going to be, and they were that the whole time. One girl was a paperclip, and she did it in so incredibly well, and it was so cute. And she had like these paper clips all around her. She was Mrs. Norway, and that was also like a really good costume. And I was like, oh, you know, like an invention from your company or from your country is also an interesting idea too. Like you don't have to go with something so like literal, like Statue of Liberty. Like maybe you could be a light bulb somehow or something. I don't know. My mind is reeling. We have a little time until October, so.
I love that. So you're always watching and thinking and creating, right? And being prepared for the pageant. So when is the pageant, and where are you going for that pageant?
Yep, it's in the Philippines, in Manila. I've never been to any Asian country, and it's been on my bucket list. So I never thought like the transformative power of pageantry. So like I got into this pageant, and it has done so much more good for me than I could have ever imagined. So what I really love about pageantry is a couple things. I will say the number one thing is that as mothers, right, and this, we were supposed to call this sexy back, and we should probably get to that part soon. But as mothers, we lose ourselves in our children. We feel like if we're not taking them to the park or not, you know, doing their homework, or like if everything is not 100% focused on our children, we feel like we're not being a good mother. And what I love about pageantry that I didn't know I was missing was it gives you a reason to work on and prioritize yourself. And when you become a mother, you lose that. And I mean, I'm sure there are women who are very good and they're like, I need to go to the gym. I need to keep my mental health in check. I need to go, you know, to my therapist. I need to get a massage. But like, as for me personally, I always felt like if I wasn't spending every waking moment on my kids, then I wasn't being a good parent. And I really like picked on myself and picked myself apart. And I'm a great mom, and I have been a great mom, but I'm actually a better mom now that pageantry has come into my life. Like it's actually given me something to do besides like fuss over my kids 24/7. And it's given me this new purpose to work on me and like actually live my life, and then, you know, have my life with my children. And then they also have grown so much closer to my husband, who's been a wonderful support system. People ask me all the time, they're always like surprised that I have a full-time job because I'm such an active queen. And they're like, how are you able to do everything that you do? And it's because my husband and my mother and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law and my father all have joined around and become such ardent supporters of this dream of mine. And they come over and they help watch the kids, and they'll sometimes pick them up from school, or if I have an early event, they'll take them to school. So just tapping into the wonderful support system. Like everyone in my like stratosphere is just so happy for me. And sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I have like another appearance. And they're like, oh, go on. Like, you know, this, you only get this year. But it's so funny because like we've been saying that for 2 years now. Like, oh, you only get to do it this 1 year. But like if you win, you get another year. And so I really hope that I win Mrs. Universe, because then I'll have another year where I can say it's the last year. I promise I won't do it anymore. So I have a wonderful family and support system, and pageantry has just opened so many doors, but it's also given me so many opportunities. Like I like to talk about the transformative power of pageantry and the opportunities that have come into my life, like doing this tonight or being on TV shows. I got to be like on the Tampa Bay Tonight Show. I've gotten to be in the Gasparilla Parade, do so many things. I'm going this week to New York Fashion Week, and I'm getting to walk in several shows. And I'm like, me? Like, oh my goodness, how is this happening? How is this my life? This is incredible and unbelievable. And then the best part of pageantry is the sisterhood. They have embraced me. There's so many former queens and title holders who've reached out and become not just friends, but lifelong friends. And so really in pageantry, at the end of the day, it's what you make it, right? If you go in with an open, positive mindset and you're doing it for the experience and not just the crown and the title, you're going to get so much good out of it. You're going to meet new wonderful women who are CEOs and doctors and lawyers and friends for life and wonderful stay-at-home moms who know how to bake bread and teach you how, like all sorts of things that have come into my life. And I just can't say enough good things about this network of women that I've been afforded the opportunity to meet. It's just really changed my life.
That's amazing. So with pageantry, you get your community, right? You get your support system. But also, as I tell my clients as a therapist, you need to make sure when you become a mom, you need to fill that bucket of a family, not just that bucket, but also your couple's bucket, right? You need to do something as a couple, and also you need to do something for yourself. Because if you, in the end of the day, have nothing to give, it would be really hard to, stay present, stay calm with your kids, with your husband, be happy, right? So you need to make sure that you keep doing something for yourself. So as we start wrapping up, we only have a few minutes left. Let's talk about, sexy back. What does it mean? How do you feel like you, I guess, transformed your relationship? How do you bring that sexiness back?
Well, you bring up like excellent points. So when I had my first child, I became the most dedicated, like single-minded mother. I was like, there is this being and their entire existence depends on me, and I must do everything to make their life, perfect and wonderful and meet every need. And I really lost not only like myself, right? I lost myself, I gained the weight, but also I totally in some ways completely abandoned my husband. And like looking back, I can laugh and say that like, poor him, did he even exist for those first couple years? I feel so bad. But it's true, like we didn't go on date nights anymore. I had this thing where I did not trust anyone watching my children. Like I did not want a babysitter. I didn't even my mother would come over, right? It's my mother. She would come over and watch them. Like I'd still like stay at the house, but like in the other room. And like maybe I would watch TV, but like also poke my head out several times. Like, and I don't know what that was going on with me that I had such major trust issues, but I really felt like if I let my kids out of my sight, something bad's going to happen. And then I will never forgive myself because I could have been there, but I decided for whatever reason to go eat at Red Lobster, right? Like what I could never forgive myself. And I don't know why I was thinking in that context, but like I really lost myself, and we really, really lost the way of our relationship. And having kids affects not only you, but your partner and your relationship and like your family dynamics so much more than like you could ever guess, right? Like you would think like, yes, bringing a baby home would probably like turn the whole house upside down, but like it does in ways you would never imagine. Like we stopped going on date nights, and I swear there were probably 3 months straight where we never talked about how was your day or or this or that. It was just like, this happened to the baby, and the baby has a fever, and the baby. And so when I went on this self-discovery and, started working on me again, and letting giving myself the freedom to have pursuits outside of just my children. Also, I feel like my husband and I started our relationship all over again, because we definitely had 2 or 3 years where it was just like we were in war, we were in the foxhole together, trying to get through this thing called life and the stage called diapers. And it was just like we were a team, and we were fighting a war on all fronts together every single day. And at some point, thank goodness, we found our way back to each other again. And I credit that a lot with my mother moving down from Indiana. And then she would be like, I'll take the babies. You guys go on a date night. She really pushed us a lot to rediscover our love for each other, because I don't think we lost it. I think we forgot it because we were so in the weeds with 3 babies, right? All 3 of them were in diapers. I had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 0-year-old. And that was a lot. And I still do not know how people do twins, because holy guacamole, it was tough. But making time for each other, asking each other about their day, you don't realize how everything is all about the kids until one day, you break out of it and you're like, wow, have I even asked him how work is going for a year? I don't even know what his life is like outside of this house right now. Because as soon as, I have a work from home job. And so I was trying to, especially during COVID, right? You couldn't take the kids to the nursery or anything because they were all closed down. And so I was trying to work full time from home, have 3 infants, and then my husband was off at work. And so then when he would come home, I'd be like, I was on a work call and this happened, and the baby this happened, and this one threw up, and then I here, take this one to the doctor, everybody's sick, and it was just he came home and he was in the weeds and the trenches, and we did really deprioritize our relationship for far too long. And I really credit my mother with being the one who recognized that we needed our own time without the kids. And so I would say that to anybody. If you have small kids or if you have older kids, your family vacations, sometimes could be just you and your husband. And every family vacation doesn't have to be in a way elite soccer team in Georgia, and oh, that's a family vacation, the kids sports. I think that people should give themselves permission to continue prioritizing your relationship, because what I've noticed is that when my husband and I's relationship is really, really strong and functioning on all levels, then our parenting comes easier, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Thank you. So 3 things, right, that our viewers should take away is, number 1, you need to take time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a luxury. It's something it's extremely needed, right? You need to talk to your partner, right? And sometimes connecting with your partner, not just talking about, here's the diapers, or here's the work, but hey, let's have a quick talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's be grateful about something. And then the last one, you need to celebrate small wins. Even if you only had 5 minutes with each other, it's better than nothing, right? And what's the secret to happy marriage? It's the 7-7-7 rule. So every 7 days, and again, ideally, easier said than done. Every 7 days, go on a date with your partner. Every 7 weeks, go away for the night as a couple. And every 7 months, go on a romantic getaway with your partner.
I love that. I'm going to institute that tomorrow.
Awesome. So, as we're wrapping up, can you let our viewers know where they can find you, where we can follow with that?
Yes. Okay. You can, if you're interested in knowing more about me or my weight loss journey or booking me for a keynote speech, you can go to amberuhler.com. It's just www.amberuhler.com. You can reach out to me, and then you can also reach me on Instagram. I'm Mrs. Universe USA 2025. Like I said, I only get it for 1 year. Again, that's Mrs. Universe USA 2025 on Instagram. And that's one thing that I've worked really, really hard on. When I decided I wanted to do a pageant, I had not posted on social media, right? Because I was like heavier and I was like, oh, social media is so negative with all these workout influencers and I weigh almost 300 pounds. This isn't fun. And so when I got a pageant coach, she was like, you have to have social media. Like you cannot do a pageant without social media. And so I had like no followers, nothing. I didn't know what to post. And I've been trying really, really hard. And just yesterday, I hit 20,000 followers, like real, not bot, organic, like slow climb. And it was funny because sometimes when I post pageant stuff, I like lose some followers. So if you follow me, you're gonna get like a lot of pageant, and I apologize in advance, but it's also super fun. So if you want to follow me, that would be great, and it would make my day as I go on this journey of inspiration.
Thank you, Amber, for being here with us, sharing all your insights. Love talking to you, amazing stories. And our viewers, please follow us on social media, Jess TV, and AnnaElton.com. Please stay tuned for our future episodes. We're here every second Monday, same time, same place, live, love, etc. Thank you and good night.